What's up, guys? NBA 2K rating recap for January 27th, 2026. 7 games that I'm going to quickly break down before running to work. Starting off in Washington, the Wizards beat the Blazers 115 to 111, ending their 9-game losing streak. Bilal Coulibaly made his return, had 5 points, 6 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks as I guess the starting point guard. We saw a little bit of this before he went down with injury. They sent Bub Carrington back to the bench. Koulibaly, obviously not a traditional point guard. They're just running essentially a point guardless lineup. They get enough passing from Keyshawn George and Chris Middleton. I guess this might be something that we see across the league moving forward. Teams are just moving away from smaller point guards and feel like they're better off having just loading up on defensive players at the guard spots, and you can get playmaking from other places in the lineup. I didn't get a chance to watch any tape from this to see if it was like George doing most of the offensive initiation or if Koulibaly was doing any of it. Koulibaly, for what it's worth, only 2 field goal attempts in this game in around 30 minutes. So I don't think that he was doing much of the initiation. Alex Sarr, for what it's worth, led the team with 29 points, 12 rebounds, 6 blocks. Middleton and George adding 19 each. Middleton, of course, has been a point forward at times with Milwaukee, and Keyshawn George is probably the guy who I would assume was running the offense the most. But I'm not. I don't want to run around and like change people's secondary positions as of yet. Obviously, Trae Young's also due to come back for the team eventually, so they will most likely at some point be starting a small point guard rather than running with just a bunch of wings, basically 4 wings on the court at any given time. We'll see. But yeah, let's head on over to Portland. They got some big news. Former Wizard Denny Avdia made his return against them. He had 17 points, 12 rebounds. It is the first game that he and Drew Holiday started next to each other since November. So I did change Avdia's position, moving him back to small forward. It has the added bonus of this is his highest rated position, so it gets his overall up to a 92. Drew, for what it's worth, only 5 points only 5 points in this game. Was 2 of 14 from the field, so I could end up dropping his overall rating by a point or so next time I check in with his stats. Shaden Sharp led the way with 31. Donovan Clingan had definitely a massive game, a monster game on paper. 14 points, 20 rebounds, 13 of them offensive, but he was himself 6 of 17 from the field. So I would imagine that most of those shots were or most of those offensive rebounds were of the Andre Drummond getting his own miss variety. So not as impressive as it might seem, I think. Going over to New York, they got a nice win over the Kings at home this time, getting some revenge for Mike Brown. Kings are the Kings haven't won since they last beat the Knicks a couple weeks ago. But Jalen Brunson, he led the way with 28 points. Karl Anthony Towns, though, 17 and 11, but was only 5 of 15 from the field. It did not play down the stretch of this game. Mike Brown opting for Mitchell Robinson in crunch time, which actually took the lead from 4 points to 16, so it was the right button to push. But yeah, Towns benched. He was also not benched in the last game, but he had fouled out, so he didn't play in crunch time in that game either. So trade rumors starting to swirl around the Knicks and Karl Anthony Towns. I don't think this was ever the cleanest fit in the world. I don't like centers that don't play defense. So I think that if you are going to be building the team around Jalen Brunson, who's already an undersized point guard, he's not going to give you much defensively. You really do need to have a lot of defense at the other positions. You don't really need another like primarily offensive player at a key defensive position. So we'll see if the Knicks are able to move off Towns. I don't think they are favored in the Giannis sweepstakes, which we will get to in a little bit. I'm not sure how much interest other teams in the league have for Karl Anthony Towns, given his absolutely massive contract. Yeah, this is not an easy pill to swallow for, again, a player who is not perfect. Definitely some major warts to his game. Um, Mitchell Robinson, for what it's worth in this game, 13 rebounds, which has been always been the key stat for him this year. 6 of those offensive, and he played 27 minutes off the bench. He's been able to ramp up his minutes a little bit. If he was able to stay on the court, if he was a healthier human being than physically, then they probably wouldn't have had the trade for Towns in the first place. They would just be able to start Robinson, but because he's not really able to physically hold up, similar to like a Rudy Gobert, who's been playing at such a high level for such a long time. If they could get 35 minutes a game out of Mitchell Robinson, the Knicks would be in great position. But it does not seem like that's probably ever really going to be the case. Going over to the Kings, they dropped to 12 and 36. For what it's worth, Knicks 28 and 18, 103 to 87 was the score in this game. I forgot if I mentioned that. But Kings, they dropped to 12 and 36, spiraling, lost their 6th game in a row. DeMar DeRozan led the way with 34 points, 13 of 26 from the field, 7 of 8 from the free throw line. 0 assists, though, in 39 minutes. Was definitely trying to showcase his game offensively. Did mention he essentially wants to get traded to a contender, doesn't want to waste away at his age on a hopeless team. Zach LaVine, for what it's worth, sat this one out, so Nick Clifford got the start, which probably means that DeRozan actually did this at the 2. But Domantas Sabonis, 11 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists in 33 minutes. Kind of back to normal. He only took 2 free throw attempts, and he was 5 of 10 from the field overall. So not really making as big of an impact offensively as you would like, especially with LaVine out. This was basically the DeRozan show, although that may have played into Sabonis' quiet night. They just weren't running as much through him. Russell Westbrook, for what it's worth, another player who is not someone who can play well with Sabonis. He had a really rough night in this one. 14 points, 6 of 19 from the field, 5 assists to 6 turnovers. He'd probably make more sense, I guess, coming off the bench on a contender, but I don't know if any team is super interested in that. Russ is probably just content to stat pad his way through the season for a 12-win team. Philly, they moved to 25 and 21 with a big win over the Bucks, 139 to 122. Embiid and George back in the lineup. George with a season high, 32 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 9 of 15 from 3. Actually, I'm not sure if the points are a season high, but I know the threes definitely are. Still, probably one of his best games of the season. Embiid, 29 points in this one. Maxey with 22 and 9. VJ, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Quentin Grimes was out in this one, so Jared McCain. He stepped into his rotation spot, 17 points in 24 minutes off the bench. Seems like he's back into shape after a stint in the G League. He essentially lost his job to Quentin Grimes when they traded for him last year. McCain obviously was already out for the season at that point. And then they also drafted VJ Edgecombe, which is why he just hasn't been able to get on the court as much. So they sent him down to the G League. He needed to get some reps in coming off of his injury. And hopefully he is back up to speed. If he is, I will eventually knock his rating up. He had a pretty brutal start to the year, which is holding some of his numbers down. Milwaukee, they dropped to 18 and 27, lost their 3rd game in a row. They're now 12th behind Charlotte. Probably going to stay there with Giannis out for the next month or so. Miles Turner, season high, 31 points for him, 10 of 16 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, 7 of 8 from the line. By far his best game of the season. Bobby Portis, 17, 12, and 8. Kuzma, 17, 8, and 8. Ryan Rollins, 24. But obviously they just weren't able to stop some of the old heads on Philly. Giannis rumors starting to heat up today. Heat apparently are the favorites to acquire him if he is moved at the deadline. But it is more likely that something happens in the offseason, typically these blockbusters, just because you're not as restricted in what you can do as you are during the season. Like you can't during the season. You essentially have to make legal trades where teams still have to have they can't go above 15 players, so they would have to waive players if they're taking on like if it's a 5-for-1, for example. The team receiving the 5 players would have to waive 4 existing ones, and obviously with the way aprons and all that, the salary cap, etc., all that works. Generally, any lopsided trade like that would tend to happen during the off season, where you can also get 4 teams involved, things like that. It's just a lot easier to have those mechanisms come later in the year. So Milwaukee, if they are going to trade Giannis, it's probably in their best interest to wait until the offseason, where they can really have like the next 4 months to hammer out the details of a trade, who the partners would be, etc. But essentially, a Heat trade package would be centered around Tyler Hero and Khalil Ware. Hero and Ware, obviously, not really needed by the current Bucks administration. They already have a bunch of scoring guards, and Miles Turner is the starting 5 there. So if they did end up taking the Heat's package, they would obviously just break up the rest of the team, sell these guys off to the highest bidder. Who even knows if how much interest Milwaukee has in Tyler Hero to begin with, as Tyler Hero is, well, he's still under. He's 25. He's middle of his 20s, but still, like, he is what he is at this point. Probably on a just an innings eater on a lottery team. He's going to get you points, but not get you to the promised land or anything like that. And Khalil Ware he's had a pretty up and down year. Statistically, he's pretty good, but he's been benched, obviously, for Bam Adebayo. He's been criticized by his coach a little bit for his effort level. Obviously, he's a second-year player, so he is the right kind of guy to build around. He's definitely not a franchise player or anything, but he is a solid young center who would play for the next 10 years easily. He's definitely going to have an NBA career. How much upside he's going to have remains to be seen, but enough on that. That doesn't really affect the ratings conversation too much. It does once the players do get traded, so it is interesting to think about. OKC, they moved to 38-10 with a 104-95 win over the Pels. SGA 29, Chet 20-14 with 5 blocks. Casey Wallace out for this one. So Aaron Wiggins got the start. Dort bounced back shooting wise, 4 of 9 from 3. Isaiah Joe also adding 5 of 10 from 3 in this game to get the win over the Pels, who obviously are just the worst team in the Western Conference. They were probably not going to win this game against OKC. Zion again at I don't know if we want to consider this point forward or just another team not running a point guard, as the Wizards likewise did. 21 points, 11 rebounds, but only 2 assists for Zion. They've really been running. Whoop, and we lost connection. I guess you need an internet connection to be in a fucking roster file. What the fuck? This happens every now and then. Oh my god, what is going on? I absolutely loathe when this happens, because if I was working on a roster, what the fuck does that what does that even do? By the way, I'm on my computer right now and I didn't lose Wi-Fi connection or anything. This happens every now and then, like maybe once a day. Oh my god, that's so annoying. Yeah, all right. Wow. First time this year that it's happened during a broadcast. So where was I? Pelicans. They're running like a point guardless lineup, essentially a Murphy Jones backcourt. I consider Zion like the primary ball handler of this lineup. They're starting Herb Jones in like the same role as like the Wizards are starting Bilal Coulibaly. He's the point of attack defender, so he is guarding opposing ball handlers. There is an actual reason though to run a playmaker. Trey Murphy 3 for 20 in this game, 1 for 11 from 3. Sadiq Bey 4 of 16 from the field. You do need to set up the other players on your team, usually with quality passing, so you can't just max out on defense a lot of the time. Obviously, OKC is a different beast in general, so like maybe they wanted to, just have Herb Jones out there harassing SGA, and obviously, like Jeremiah Fears hasn't blown the doors off of anyone, and him against OKC is probably not the greatest matchup in the world, but still just a rough night for the Pels wing players in general. Fears obviously isn't a high-level playmaker. The Pels really don't have this type of player on their roster, not since Dejounte Murray got hurt. Jordan Poole, for what it's worth, was partly supposed to be one of those guys, but he's completely out of the rotation. A DNP CD over his last 2 games. He's been a casualty of the Point Zion no point guard lineup where they're playing Herb. Herb Jones came back from injury, and that's essentially been it for Poole's playing time. So, can anybody remind me why they traded CJ McCollum? CJ McCollum was on an expiring contract, and they added Jordan Poole, who makes $34 million next year and is not in the rotation for the worst team in the Western Conference. Needless to say, he has 0 trade value, so I'm not sure what they would be able to do at the deadline to get him I don't know if I'd say greener pastures. Just what can he even do from here? Because he's no playoff team is going to want him, obviously. Certainly not at that price tag, or even just in general. Poole might be playing overseas not too long from now. We'll see what happens for the rest of his career. I did just drop his overall rating using my intangibles debuff thing. I actually have not gotten around to doing his rating yet. I'll try to check in with him over the weekend. Pistons, they moved to 33-11 with a win over the Nuggets, shorthanded Nuggets, of course. 109-107 for them. Cade, 22 points, 11 assists, standard game for him. Tobias Harris, 22 points, actually outplayed Peyton Watson in this one. Denver, they dropped to 31-15. Murray, Watson, and it looks like me losing connection. I have to redo all of the injury-related changes that I made in my roster. I guess I didn't save yet. Great. All right. Well, lots of players back in the lineup for Denver. Jamal Murray, one of those. 24 points, 10 assists for him. He's been continuing to play at an all-star level. Jonas Valanciunas, 16 and 16 for him. He's done a pretty good job. He hasn't been able to play much since Jokic got hurt, because he got hurt like the following game after. But in the couple starts that he's played at a pretty high level. Obviously, he's essentially a starting caliber center, but he's been asked to be a super sub over the last couple of years. Aaron Gordon recently hurt his hamstring in the last game, so he's probably going to be out for the next 2 weeks. Peyton Watson's been having a breakout season, but he struggled in this one. 13 points, only 3 rebounds. He did have 3 blocks, which is one of his primary values. He is like the best shot blocking wing since like Andrei Kirilenko or Josh Smith, but really struggled with his shot offensively. 6 of 20 from the field, a very Josh Smith-esque performance for him. Played 37 minutes in this one. Going over to Phoenix. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to fucking redo all this shit. Jordan Goodwin got the start in this one as Colin Gillespie was out. They beat the Nets 106-102. The Suns moved to 28-19 on the year. Devin Booker obviously is still sidelined with his sprained ankle. Dylan Brooks had 26. Mark Williams led the way with 27 on 13 of 16 from the field. Grayson Allen, bounce back game for him. 18 points, 7 of 11 from the field. Royce O'Neal still struggling with his shot, was 0 for 5 from 3. Jordan Goodwin, 4 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists in 29 minutes. He's mainly out there for his defense. Hey, another team that is completely eschewed having a playmaking point guard in their starting lineup. Brooklyn Nets, on the other hand, they dropped to 12-33. They've lost 6 in a row. Michael Porter Jr. with 36 points, 15 of 24 from the field, 6 of 10 from 3. Yegor Doman, 15 points. Cam Thomas was active for this one. He had 11 points off the bench. Drake Powell, only 9 minutes in this one. He's had a lingering knee issue, so Zaire Williams, he started the second half. We'll see if Powell has to miss any time with this injury. And then going over to the Clippers, they moved to 22-24 with a win over the Jazz, 115-103. Kawhi, 21 points. The Clippers have obviously just turned around their season completely after sending Chris Paul home. They are 9-1 in their last 10 games, so they probably will claw their way back up to an actual playoff seed before the end of the year. They are mere percentage points behind Portland for 9th place. Utah, they dropped to 15-32. Lauri Markkanen made his return. He had 19 points in this one. Of course, they still need to tank games, so they held out Yusuf Nurkic and Keontae George in the same game that they brought back Lauri Markkanen. Go figure. Ace Bailey with 20. Isaiah Collier got the start with George sidelined. He had 12 points, 9 assists. And then Kevin Love got the start with Nurkic sidelined. He had 3 points, 11 rebounds in this one. And now I've got to run my ass to work. I've got to clean up the roster for... Fuck. I'm so mad at that connection loss thing. As I think I actually did update a rating as well. No, I did. All right, so I saved Caleb Love. Caleb Love was like the main guy that I edited today. He's been playing pretty well off the bench this year. I just had to clean up a lot of his. Obviously, he was. I had him at a 71 overall before because I hadn't touched his rating at all from when he came in. I did boost his. He's got 8 badges, whereas with 2K he's got 0. He's really established himself as like a quality shooter. So silver for spot up, for set shot, and then silver for shifty shooter. He is doing a lot off the dribble and off the catch. And then just a bunch of his other badges. And yeah, he's not the greatest playmaker in the world, but as a combo guard, he's been pretty solid. Definitely, probably ahead of Blake Wesley in the rotation. Even when Wesley comes back, he's the one who's on a standard contract and the former first-round pick. But as soon as he broke his leg, that was kind of it. I imagine that moving forward, they're just going to prioritize Caleb Love, who is, funnily enough, 2 years older than Wesley, despite Wesley being in the league for like 3 more years. Just a more NBA-ready player now that we have just a huge influx of 5-year college players now that the NCAA made some of the changes that they made over there. Anyway, I got to run to work. I just wanted to check in on that. At least I don't have to redo that when I get home. I'll see you guys later tonight. Thanks for watching.